everybody, it's Dana. Welcome back to day 2 of my holiday card series for 2018. Let's get started. So today I'm working with some products from Pink and Main, and this is called Deck the Palms. Works so perfectly for me because I live in Florida and we have palm trees all year long. So for today's card, I thought we would do a little bit of Copic coloring. I'm going to use my Misty and get everything lined up because I just want to stamp this image once and be done. So I'm just popping it in, and I'm going to go ahead and grab one of the images, and I decided to use the palm trees for this one. I thought it'd be super cute to color, and I think I'm going to make a bunch of these because I know a lot of my friends always say I have beautiful weather all year long with no snow. So I think I just need to rub it in a little bit this year that while they're shoveling snow, I'm going to have my feet in the sand. Okay, so I have that lined up, and I'm using Copic Expressive paper today. And today I thought I would try out the Gina K Amalgam ink. Now, I had tried this a little bit earlier off camera, and what I can tell you is that I really like this ink. This, I only purchased a little cube because I wanted to test it out beforehand. And now I'm wishing I had purchased the larger ink pad. I think that this ink is wonderful for Copic coloring. And I also feel like the ink cube is like really juicy. And I think it's going to be a great black ink to have in my ink collection. Now, I use different kinds of black ink, and I know that probably sounds silly to some of you guys, but I just found if I have a few on hand that I really enjoy using, I have a tendency to create a little bit better. Like, I know what really works when I want to do Copic coloring. I know what really works when I want to do watercoloring. So I'm the kind of person that I don't mind having several brands of black ink as long as they work for my needs. Some of them I travel with, some of them I just leave in my craft room, and other ones I only use for specialty cards. Like if I'm doing something and I'm going to heat emboss it, that's when I will go to those kind of go-to inks. So like I said, I enjoy using several products in my stamp room, and I'm glad to say that I've added the Gina K Amalgam ink to that arsenal of weapons that I use to create. Okay, I have everything stamped out, and now it's time for me to color. Now, I'm going to tell you that I did speed up this coloring. Now, the image did not take very long to do, but I just want to show you some of the things that I colored. And since there's 2 trees, I'm only going to show me coloring rather one tree. These are the ink colors, or the Copic colors rather, that I use. And I started off with the E series, E34, E35, E37, and I'm just doing some basic coloring. When I mass produce Christmas cards, I don't like to have ones that are too in depth, that take me quite a while to design, because then I have a tendency not to make as many of them. So anytime I'm doing Christmas cards and I know they're cards that I want to give out to multiple people, I kind of try to keep the coloring of it simplistic. Now, I will give you a little hint. Sometimes if I have an image that I've colored and it's like spot on and I thoroughly love it, I will photocopy that card on the same paper and then add back in some highlights or some shadows rather, just so I don't have to continuously color that object over and over again, especially if I love the way I colored it the first time. So on these colors here are YG23, YG17, and G07. Those seem to be like my green color combinations that I'm really enjoying right now. So as you can see, I just colored up that palm and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Now I brought out a couple of colors. I'm using a couple of reds on this and a yellow, and this is just a color in my stockings. Now, since I do live in Florida, I always see like bright colors around me. Like, think of Miami. There's always some really vibrant colors. So I wanted my stockings to kind of mimic that Florida and vibrant look. So I have some reds, yellows, blues, and purples for my stockings today. And again, these images are kind of small, so I'm really not worried about too much of the detail on these because they are smaller images. Now, after I have all of my stockings colored and very, very festive looking, I'm next going to come in and do some gray shadows just to fill in some of that white area, just so it's just not like really stark. Because to me, sometimes over the years that you have your stockings, they might discolor a little bit because they're well loved through the holiday season. All right, next I came in with some pink tones and I colored up that little ribbon that's holding up my stockings. And next I'm going to come in and quickly color in each one of the lights. Now I was thinking about leaving this white, but I want this to really speak color. So I went ahead and did the same colors that I use for my stockings to go ahead and do the lights on this adorable two little palm trees. Next, I want to ground this. I don't want my palm trees just to be floating. So I went ahead and took a pencil and kind of drew out a line of sand. Next, I'm coming in with some yellow tones, or sorry, earth tones. And this is E34, E40, 41, and 43. And I'm just going in with the thick side of my Copic as well as the thin side of my Copic and adding in some of that sand. Next, I'm just going to do a little bit of shading underneath the tree. And then usually when I'm doing sand, I like to put in tiny little dots because anytime you've gone to the beach or you've seen sand, you just know it's just not really one color. There will be some darker shades in your sand. So I like to also mimic that anytime I'm doing any Copic coloring. Next, I'm just going to finish up by filling everything in and adding some high points and low points. All right, now since all the coloring is done, I want to come in and build myself up a sky. So I'm going to use some Tumble Glass Distress inks as well as a stencil of clouds. Now this is really easy. I just want to fill in some of that white area so it doesn't look so bland. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep filling in those clouds, and that's just going to give a really cute backdrop to my palm trees. Now I do believe these palm trees would also look awesome if they were watercolored and very, very sketchy looking. I think that would look beautiful. I also think these images will look beautiful watercolor. Now I'm using the Pinkamane Stitched Rectangle Dissect Set 1. I'm going to line that up just so I can trim that down and I can just have my focal point of those trees. I always use some washi tape to run everything through my die cut machine because I have very well loved plates and they're a little bowed in some areas. So I make sure nothing shifts when I'm running it through. And for my die cut machine, I'm using the Gemini Junior for this. Now I have everything cut out and trimmed down. I'm going to go ahead and grab a greeting. I'm going to send the greeting that says warm wishes. And I'm just trying to figure out exactly where I might want that to lay on my card. And eventually I end up thinking like the best part would be right on the sand. So I'm just picking out if I want it on the left or the right. And I think the right is going to be the perfect spot for this. So now I can pick up my sentiment with my Misty. I'm coming back in with that same Gina K ink just to keep my ink consistent on this card. And now since I have the sentiment done, I can go ahead and close my Misty lid and go ahead and tap that down. Now our card looks perfect. Very, very warm Florida weather for the holidays. And now I'm going to bring out something unexpected. I'm bringing out the Pink and Main Spring Fling paper pad. Now, remember, I live in Florida. I want this card to look Christmassy and festive. So I'm just trying to match up what papers I want to use with this. I thought at first maybe the plaid will look good because it is like, quote, Florida winter. But I went with the polka dots because I think the polka dots are just so much fun. So remember, if you have any of those Pink and Main pads, 6x6 paper pads, pull them out. Let them work for your advantage. Remember, your paper pads do not always just have to be seasonal. Pull out those summer ones. Pull out the ones that have bright colors and use them in your fall cards, your winter cards, and like I'm doing here, in my Christmas cards. So I went ahead and I trimmed that down. And now I'm bringing in a Nina Solar White 110-pound cardstock. I always use this as my base. And I'm just using a bone folder and my Fiskars paper trimmer to get myself a really good crease. I do have one of the scoreboards, but I have it tucked away right now. So majority of the time when I'm creasing my cards or putting in my score lines, I always just grab my Fiskars cutter for that. Now, since I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and line up this paper. Now, I did realize that I either didn't cut this short enough or I cut my card panel too short. So I'm just going to pop that back into my trimmer and just trim down one of those sides. And now I'll be back to having everything lined up. So look how pretty that paper looks. And like I said, I'm sending out Florida-inspired holiday cards, so this bright color combination works perfectly for my card. I'm using my ATG runner just to add some extra adhesive down the center, just to make sure that this panel lays nice and flat on my card. And I'm going to use my mat to get everything to line up exactly where I want it. Now, since I have my card base done, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my palm trees. Now, there is this piece here. My palm trees are rather large, and that's okay because I don't want the paper to be the focal point. I just want my palm trees. But as long as I have some of those cute little polka dots popping out with color all around this image, it's still going to work. So I'm going to have some of those blues and yellows and greens poking out just on the side. But again, I don't want the paper to overwhelm my image. Now, I could have used a die cut and cut this out, so I'm not using that full sheet of paper. But I'm the kind of person like, it's okay if I use a full sheet of paper. I think I'm going to be okay. Now I'm just going to line that up, and I'm going to just lay this flat. I'm not going to pop this up. Next, I want to come in and bring in some gems. And these are the Lucy gems, and these are like iridescent, really, really pretty colors. So you guys know me. I usually finish off most of my cards, I'll say, with some kind of sequence or some kind of gem. So in this case, these are very, very colorful, and I thought they would work perfect with this card. So I'm just going to place a few of these on here. I'm not going to go overboard because I don't want anything really to take away from the pretty stamp set or all that beautiful coloring that we just achieved. So I'm just going to place a few, and then I'm using my Tonic Studio Deluxe adhesive. This seems to be my go-to adhesive now anytime I'm putting on little gems, because it seems to dry a lot stronger than some of the other mediums I have been using in the past. And I don't want any of these to pop off in the mail or when my recipient opens the envelope. They're all sitting in the envelope and not on a card. All right, now since I have my gems in place, and of course you guys heard me say this before, I like to use odd numbers to keep the flow going around my card. I did want to add in just a few more elements. I went ahead and grabbed my clear crystal drops from Nuvo, and I want to put these on the lights. So the lights look a little bit more real and they're not flat. So I'm just going to go around my cute little palm trees, and I'm just putting a tiny, tiny dot on each one of the lights just to give them a little bit of realisticness to them, and also just to have that added element on my card. All right, that is going to finish up our card for day 2. If you guys have not seen day 1, I'll link it above and below in the description box. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you back here for day 3. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.